Yeah, I'm sixth generation farmer here on our farm. I farm with my wife Naomi and my mum and dad Ken and Wendy, and we've got 2 boys that work for us as well. We put 4,000 hectares a year in of crop, mainly dry land. We've got a bit of irrigation as well, and yeah, we try and grow a number of crops, cereal, oilseed and legumes. Yeah, just to sort of maximise diversity and with our rotations and things like that. Yeah, growing a crop and knowing the agronomy or the practical side of what to do there is obviously very important in our game. But the business side and the financial side is equally as, if not more important, and that's the same in any business. You got to know your numbers and be able to budget, because you know it's not just about growing the biggest crop, you know, yield-wise. It's about the biggest gross margin. So I suppose the message to other young farmers would be, you know, to know that the business side, it's very important. Know your costs of production, knowing what your costs or what you're going to get for your crops. So I suppose looking at when you're budgeting, if you have a low expected yield and a low yield and expected yield and a high yield, and then you've got low prices with an average and a high prices. So you really need to know, because we deal with supply and demand, and that dictates prices and that. So we need to know our historical averages for prices and yields, know what that figure is, and if you can do your budgeting to make money on a below average price and yield, you're always going to be better off, because if you're budgeting on averages, prices and yield, when you have that bad year where you get a low price or a low yield, you're going to lose money. And that quite often comes with experience and help with other people that are out there. There's a lot of things I see where you could be budgeting on an average year and an average price, and whether it be an environmental factor, a frost or a heat wave, these things you can't foresee happening, or a political factor, you can't budget for those. So if we can work in getting the job to work with a below average price and yield, you're going to win, more often than lose, sort of thing.
When I talk about the whole farm, you can think of it in terms of the bits that are in it. There's the human bit, the people, there's the technical bit, which is the main bit, but you've got to get these other bits right too. And there's an economic bit and the financial bit and the risk bit, and then the beyond the farm bit. And you've got to manage the whole system. So being good at the technical side and really interested in the technical side is necessary, but not sufficient. You have to, and that's where management comes in. You've got to manage all of those bits. And that's why I stress with young farmers that be really good technically at what you do. That's just a given. You've got to be good at that. But that alone won't help you, or won't guarantee you'll achieve your goals, because you need to make a profit. And then why do you need to make a profit? Because you want to build wealth. And why do you want to build wealth? Because you want to have choices. So the ultimate aim is not to grow a ton of wheat, it's to build the wealth to give you the choices to do the things you want to do. And so you've got to manage all these bits of a farm and put them together to achieve your goals. And that's where financial management really becomes important. And it's often the case that we're that busy farming, doing the technical stuff, we don't pay enough attention to the financial stuff and the thinking, the management thinking, the getting the gearing right, getting the debt right, being able to work out how much debt your business can service. And then to tell how your farm's performing, we need to do a little bit of what's called economics. We need to figure out the return on capital, because that's the measure of whether your farm's any good or not, whether you're getting a return on capital that's more than the interest cost, and it's better than anything else you could do. And so you need to be able to do a few sums. We're not talking elaborate record keeping or anything like that. You also need to answer the question, can I pay all the bills? That's where finance comes in. You need to be able to work out expected net cash flows and then track that against the actuals. That's called financial management. The main reason I say to young farmers is to learn a bit of the business management side of it, is because to manage the whole system, you need to understand the whole system. And as I say, the difference between people who really can stand back and look at their whole system And those that are tightly focused on at the ground level, the difference in the eventual performance of their businesses is quite large. So it's really worth being able to manage and understand how the whole system works.